January 6th is seared in America's conscience. The ongoing criminal investigation, one of the largest in U.S. history.
It's not just a stain, it's not just an embarrassment, and we absolutely should not just move on.
In the last year, more than 700 Americans have been arrested from nearly every state. More than 30 have been sentenced to prison so far, with more on the way. Like Jennifer Ryan, who took a private plane from Texas to Washington a year ago and said storming the Capitol was the best day of her life.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Jenna.
Then boasted she'd never go to jail because she's white, blonde, and has a great job. She was wrong. Her 30 days in jail starts this week.
And the only thing that I can see that's good about having to go to prison is that I'm going to be able to work out a lot.
Then there's Paul Hodgkins, a Florida crane operator who got 8 months in jail after pleading guilty to obstruction. Robert Palmer got 5 years, the longest to date, for resisting and assaulting officers. And who could forget Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman, beginning 41 months in prison even while admitting he messed up royally. Many Americans would like to think January 6th was a one-off, a horrible, violent day that wouldn't happen again. But Chuck Rosenberg, a former senior FBI official, says the threat is still there.
There are some who think that what happened on January 6th, and I'm one of them, was appalling, repulsive, and there are some who think that what happened on January 6th was insufficient and will continue, I believe, to articulate that Joe Biden is an invalid president, that Donald Trump should be returned.
A new poll taken in late December suggests 62% of Americans now expect violence over the outcome of future presidential elections. Another poll that 34% of Americans believe violence against the government is justified. 1 year on, there's a mound of data on who stormed the Capitol. A research team at the University of Chicago built a profile of those arrested, mostly white, male, and urban.
I thought, like many, that they were coming from the fringe.
Dr. Robert Pape found that while some were members of right-wing extremist groups, most were not.
Over half are business owners, CEOs, or from white-collar occupations, doctors, lawyers, and architects. Only 7% were unemployed at the time they broke into the Capitol. Well, this is completely different than the economic profile of right-wing extremists.
And the motivations that led them to rioting, he says, still circulate.
You might think that arresting hundreds and hundreds of people who are going to serve jail time for breaking into the Capitol would have a chilling effect. This movement is not fading away.
Inside the Capitol, a second intense investigation, a special January 6th committee digging into who conspired and plotted January 6th and what the former president and the White House knew about it.
I remember very clearly the sound of boom, 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 like a battering ram as people tried to barrel their way into the House of Representatives, and members tried to go over to reinforce the wall.
Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin was inside the Capitol that day. His new book, Unthinkable, details the insurrection and, tragically, his own son's suicide just the week before.
And that I really felt no fear for myself because I just kept feeling that we had already lost what was most precious to us in our son, Tommy. The worst thing that ever could happen had already happened. And I was not afraid of these fascist insurrectionists who were trying to tear down our government. I was very angry about it.
Do we have lords and nobles and friends of presidents who don't have to respond to congressional subpoenas or court subpoenas if they don't want to?
Raskin is a key member of the January 6th Special Committee, which has subpoenaed senior people in Donald Trump's circle.
This is how we move on. We move on by telling the truth about the systematic, coordinated attack on American democracy. We're going to tell a riveting, compelling story to the American people about how this attack took place, who paid for it, who organized it, who coordinated it, and what are the changes we need to make in order to defend ourselves in the future.
By nightfall, last January 6th, the capital was once again under control. But Americans were reeling. Calm has returned here, but still underneath divisive currents magnified 1 year ago. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Washington.